Today is the Wall Street Journal. Wise leaders seek and listen to the advice. Zuckerberg, lieutenant, returns to Facebook a year after departure. Chris Cox was one of the social media giant's earliest engineers. Chris Cox exited the Facebook in March 2019. The former top Facebook Inc. deputy Chris Cox is returning to the social media giant just over a year after leaving amid disagreements with the CEO Mark Zuckerberg over the company direction. Mr. Cox, who was on Facebook earliest engineers, announced his plans to return as a company head of product, the job he resigned in March 2019. The core of the role is executing Mr. Zuckerberg's vision for Facebook platforms, and Mr. Cox was known to have disagreed with the chief executive's plans to move towards unifying the company products around encrypt messaging and other topics. Mr. Cox, 37 years old, told people that he worries that the shift to encryption would impede detection of such criminal activity as terrorism and child trafficking. The Wall Street Journal reported in April. The Mr. Cox also accompanied the push within the Facebook to examine its culpability in spreading misinformation and diverse contents in the years before he left. Work that the company prioritized, the Journal reported last month. It isn't clear if the men have resolved their disagreements, but Mr. Cox said in his returned announcements that he has been encouraged by progress on so many of big issues facing us. Mr. Cox, who spent part of his time away from the company working on progress causes, could help shore up Mr. Zuckerberg's support among some employees who have expressed the frustration with the Facebook policies regarding political speech and specifically the platform's hands-off approach to President Trump. Also on Thursday, the Facebook expanded the role to Chief Diversity Officer Maxine Williams, who will now report to Chief Operating Officer Sherry Sandberg. In a Facebook post announced his move, Mr. Cox said discussions about his return began about a month ago when he reached out to Mr. Zuckerberg. After spending more than a year with his family, supporting political causes and playing with his reggae band, Mr. Cox said he felt called to return. According to the post that will be on June 22nd, 2020 refocused us all on a public health crisis, an economic crisis, and now a reckoning of racial, racial injustice. The world is unsettled, divided. People are struggling when things are already hard. He wrote, calling Facebook the best place for me to roll up my sleeves and dig into help. Mr. Cox oversees the company's largest products: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. In addition to guiding the development of new features, the role requires Mr. Cox to help address unforeseen problems arising from existing products. In response to betrayal, and misinformation on Facebook during the 2016 campaign, he championed an approach to products that examined the impact of the company on society rather than just growth. For people who want to see Facebook succeed, this is Christmas morning, said Donald Graham, a former Facebook board member who has known for Mr. Cox for years. Chris' return is the best news I could imagine for the company. The Facebook has been roiled by employee protests, including a walkout and resignations by a handful of staffers over its handling of content moderation issues and President Trump's use of its platform. Since leaving Facebook, Mr. Cox told people that he was going to focus on climate change and progressive politics. The header on his personal Facebook page features a Black Lives Matter stamp. Last year, he donated money to Acronym, a Democratic digital firm, according to people familiar with the matter. At a conference last year, Mr. Cox told an audience that he wanted to Mr. Trump out of the office, but still defended the company's hands-up approach to the president on the platform. I think when you are in a senior role at the platform, you have a duty to be much more neutral in your politics, he said.